What's up, guys? This is Carter Karels with GigEm 247 here at Kyle Field after Texas A&M defeated New Mexico State 38-3. Here for your post-game analysis, and really a game where, okay, 35-point win, pretty dominant, had your backups in, reserves in for much of the third, fourth quarter. A few things kind of concern you coming out of this game. Number one, very well could be, hey, you lose Cyrus Allen, maybe for the season. We'll see. Did not look good, the arm injury that he suffered. I asked Mike Elko about it after the game, and he said it didn't look too great. So we'll kind of see what the prognosis is there. The good news is Shamar Stewart also went down in this game. Again, you know, injuries are kind of the biggest thing you can think about in this game. Just avoid as much as possible. And he went out of the game, looked like a shoulder or neck thing. Elko said he's fine, should be good to go. So just kind of a precautionary thing, taking him out of the game there. So, you know, obviously the Cyrus Allen thing is going to be a concern, but also, you know, a couple problems that have plagued this team you saw come up, right? The penalties, you saw it derail a couple drives, a TJ Shanahan false start on 4th and 1 in the second quarter. Holding penalty on Shanahan that derailed another drive in the second quarter. Penalties just has killed this team throughout this season. And also have to mention the personal foul penalty, necessary roughness penalty on Shamar Turner. I believe that's his 5th dead ball personal foul penalty, which obviously leads the team. And it just seems like every game now, he's just doing something after the play, whether it's trash talk, whether it's, you know, a dirty hit, just always seems to be getting himself in trouble. And, you know, we asked Mike Elko about this after last week, and he said, hey, clearly what we've been telling him so far hasn't really changed anything, so we're going to have to start, you know, trying something new to kind of get into his head that, hey, you can't have these penalties anymore. And, you know, clearly what they did before this game didn't work either, because here he was, you know, his teammate was underneath the pile, and he basically grabbed a New Mexico State player and threw him aside. Now, New Mexico State guy could have been flopping. I'd have to watch the tape over again, but definitely looked like he embellished the toss a little bit there. But still, if you're Shamar Turner, why are you doing that? Let the referee go in there and get the guy out of there if he's hanging down on that pile for too long. That's not your job. You don't need to be doing that. I get it's not dirty. You're just trying to protect your teammate. But if you're someone that's penalized over and over again, referees are just looking for you to do something. And so, didn't like that. I asked Elko about it after the game. He didn't seem too upset like he was last time. But if you notice, I don't think he played the rest of the game. So, senior day, Shamar Turner was recognized for it, and I don't think he played the rest of the game after that. So, clearly, A&M felt a certain way about it. Beyond that, we talked penalties, we talked Cyrus Allen. Passing game, you know, didn't look great at times, but for the most part, Marcel Reed did pretty well. 20 of 31, a career high 268 yards for him, a couple touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. And, you know, had some nice throws, but some that you wanted back. I mean, the first play of the game takes a deep shot, overthrown. He had an overthrown pass to a wide open Shane Calhoun. A couple passes here and there that you want back. And that's just been the biggest question with Marcel Reed this season, is how much can he develop as a passer in this season? You know, certainly he's a young kid. He's a redshirt freshman, and so, you know, you want to temper your expectations. But if this team is going to make a playoff and potentially the SEC championship game, they've got to see some development from Marcel Reed as a passer, and we just haven't seen it quite much. And, you know, you were hoping in this game, considering the competition, that he was going to kind of light it up. And yeah, he had his moments. I mean, you talk about those first 4 drives, you score 3 touchdowns and a field goal, and you're feeling pretty good. But then the next 3 drives, you had the, drive that got, derailed by the TJ Shanahan holding penalty. You had the drive that got derailed by the false start from Shanahan. And then the 3rd drive, you march all the way to the end zone, or to the red zone. Been a pretty good red zone team all season, and Marcel Reed, throws an ill-advised throw, doesn't have the right footwork, and throws a pick in the end zone. You just can't do that. You're at the end of the half, you're up 24-0. You don't need to be a hero. At worst, you can just take the 3 points, and now you're up 4 scores, 27-0. So that's kind of a rookie mistake where you don't have to be the hero there. Fight to live another day. And he talked about it in the post-game press conference that, hey, he should have just thrown it away there. Nothing overly concerning with Marcel Reed that just whoa, this just was a big step back. You didn't see the big progression that maybe you were hoping to see in this final stretch of the season. You saw Connor Weigman come in, big struggle for him too. I think there's still, anytime you see Reed struggle, you think, well, could Connor Weigman be the better option? What we saw today, no way, Jose. Connor Weigman looked pretty lost out there. Just doesn't seem right mentally. Just seems like he's kind of lost his confidence. Now, he was playing with some of the backups, and he had some clean pockets, but there also were times where, he was getting sacked pretty early, getting pressure pretty early after the snap. So, I don't know how much you take from that, but it certainly didn't look good, and it certainly didn't convince anybody that, hey, Marcel Reed shouldn't be the starting quarterback. So hopefully I haven't been too doom and gloom for a 35-point win. There were some positives I want to touch on. How about Theo Melin-Orstrom, the Swede, Thor, as they like to call him? 111 yards today for him. It's a career high, and just seems like he has such a connection with Marcel Reed. We saw the Florida game when he had I think he had a touchdown there, and maybe the Bowling Green game he had a touchdown. But they've had an obvious connection this season, and you'd argue that, hey, this tight end group hasn't been all that productive this season. You've wanted to see more from them, but when Marcel Reed's at quarterback, these guys are producing, and if this guy can take that step forward and bring some consistency there, Theo, maybe that unlocks a different element to this passing game that they obviously need. Trey Watson also had a great game. 4 catches, 67 yards. Had a big 33-yard catch. Senior day for him as well was recognized. And so, yeah, a lot of the production tonight from Marcel Reed was to the tight ends. And had he hit Calhoun on that, throw, the intermediate throw to the sideline, you're talking about maybe a 300-yard performance for Reed, and more than half of that to the tight ends. Great limited action from Amari Daniels. 71-yard touchdown run, had a nice block on the pull from TJ Shanahan from the left side to the right. Created a big hole for Amari Daniels, and he took it the distance, and he did it against South Carolina too. Had the big, I think 58-yard run early in that game, and there's been talk about, hey, Amari Daniels, he's not Le'Veon Moss, he's not just as good as him, but the drop-off between the two might not be as much as you think. And with what he's shown this season, unbelievable running back 2 for this team. Running back 1, I still think he's pretty solid. I think just the question is more, okay, it wasn't really the question about the drop-off between Moss and Daniels. It's more the drop-off between Daniels and E.J. Smith, the backup running back. Heading into the year, E.J. Smith would have been the 4th-team running back, behind Moss, behind Daniels, behind Ruben Owens, the true sophomore. Then Owens goes down, then Moss goes down, and now E.J. Smith, the transfer from Stanford, now he's your RB2. And I think A&M did the right move tonight. You're thin at the running back position. You got 2 scholarship guys available now. And so they gave Daniels 5 carries tonight, just 5. Had 84 yards, had a pretty nice showing. And then after that I think it was a 3rd and 1, he went backwards a couple yards, play got stuffed. They just said, you know what, you're done for the night. I think it was like midway through the first quarter. And I thought that was a brilliant idea, because one more injury to that running back group, and man, you're talking about a catastrophic situation for that unit. You can't afford anything else. You only got 2 scholarship guys, and only one of them has really been effective. And so not only could you give Amari Daniels a break, a rest, keep him fresh for the rest of the season, and prevent any sort of injury from happening, you also give an extended look at E.J. Smith and A.J. Denota, the walk-on, that you really hadn't had this season. We've seen E.J. Smith have a few carries here and there each game, but tonight, 15 carries for 60 yards. Wasn't a really great performance from him, if I'm being honest. Certainly a big drop-off there between Daniels and Smith. I just think for A&M, you have to kind of survive when Daniels isn't in the game, whether it's pass protection, whether it's, hey, it's 3rd and 1 and they need a yard. If it's E.J. Smith, just survive it. If he can just be okay, then okay, that should be enough, because what you get from Marcel Reed's legs, what you get from Amari Daniels, this can still be a team that runs the football pretty well. You just have to survive those downs when Amari Daniels is not in the game. I found it interesting. We didn't see any Terry Bussey at running back. We didn't see any players move to running back. Now maybe it's, hey, it's New Mexico State, don't want to show anything. They can get out of this game just fine, and maybe next week at Auburn, we'll see some new guy at running back. But two scholarship running backs at this point in the season, it makes you nervous, because there's still potentially a handful of games left depending on what this team does. So that'll certainly be something worth monitoring. And of course, Ruben Owens right now, just from what we've heard, probably not going to be back in the regular season. But if this season does get extended, if it does go to the playoff, and you're talking about the first playoff game being December 19th, 20th, 21st, okay, maybe then Ruben Owens can come back, and this is a different running back room now. Something to monitor for sure, if they're able to extend the season. Talked about guys who flashed. I have to talk about Malik Silla, what he did tonight. The God Silla, as people like to call him. A guy that hasn't played a whole lot in his career, and at least the last 2 years he has not. And, we've seen flashes from him when it's kind of unfortunate, because of course you're not going to play when Nick Scorton, Cassius Howell, and Shamar Stewart are in front of you. And here he is getting the most playing time he's had in a long time. And he was dominant. A couple sacks for him tonight. You saw the guys kind of rally behind him after that second sack toward the end of the game, and they were really excited. And we asked Albert Regis about it after the game. He just said, hey man, what you guys saw tonight is what we see Monday through Friday. It's just unfortunate the guy can't really show it because he's behind, these future NFL draft picks. So probably it makes you excited though about, hey, maybe when you lose Scorton, maybe when you lose Shamar Stewart, the drop off, Malik Silla maybe isn't Nick Scorton and Shamar Stewart right now, but maybe, you're talking about next year would be year 4 for him. This could be a real player for this team. Obviously you want to see more from him, but very encouraged about what you saw tonight. Let me think if there was anything else. Not a whole lot. It was a cool senior night. I was here on the field during pregame. 26 players recognized. They decided, hey, Texas game, there's a lot going in that game. It's going to be cultural playoff on the line. It's going to be a big rivalry game returning. So let's make senior night this night and kind of be able to focus on that a little bit more. So they had 26 seniors that they recognized. 15 of them were on scholarship, and it included Nick Scorton, who, by classification, he's a junior, but hey, he's projected to be a top 10 pick. So this is kind of a night to honor the hometown product from Bryan High. So pretty cool deal that they were able to do that. Next week's a game at Auburn, and you know, Auburn hasn't had a very good season, but if you remember last time when A&M went at Auburn, they weren't having a very good season. A&M obviously wasn't having a great season, but that was kind of Auburn's Super Bowl. They went crazy for that game. The crowd was nuts, and it was just a terrible game for Texas A&M. And you look at where this falls on the schedule for A&M, and you think, hey, A&M's clearly the better team, going to be favored in this game, but having Texas the next week could make that a trap game if you're looking ahead a little bit, and obviously you're on the road. So A&M's going to have a challenge ahead at Auburn. I've have said all season it should be a game that they win by double digits, but I think considering the circumstances, and you've lost Le'Veon Moss, and maybe you're looking ahead a little bit, I think it could be a close one there at Auburn. So that's about it from me tonight. 38-3 for the Aggies. 2 games left for this team. They win these next 2 games, they're in the playoff. They've been saying it for the last couple of weeks. And Tennessee lost to Georgia tonight. So the plot thickens for the SEC standings. A&M now, off the top of my head, is the only team left with 1 loss in conference. So they just got to win out, and they're regular season SEC champions. So that's it from me, guys. I appreciate y'all watching, and see y'all next week.